Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today I want to show you how to install the BakFlip CS or CSF1 on this 2015 Ford F-150. Now this is the exact same install on most trucks. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is install our bulkhead seal. Looks just like this. We're going to unwind it, pull the tape off, and install it on top of the bulkhead. Now this one's already got the bulkhead seal on there. We're going to wipe that down with the alcohol, and you want to go from one edge of the bed cap all the way to the other edge of the bed cap. And you want to put it on the bulkhead furthest away from the cab, so all the way to that inside edge of the bed of the truck. Now this has a bed rug, so what I'm going to do to hide the drain tube, make it a really clean look, is I'm going to pull the bed rug back, and I'm just going to fish this drain tube down to the hole, and just let the drain tube sit up like so that I can attach the drain tube to the rail once I install the rail. Next I'm going to go ahead and locate the passenger side rail. Now when you look at this rail, the aluminum tab is going to be towards the front of the bed of the truck. It's also going to be kind of a lower portion of the rail. You also see a ball stud kind of hanging down. Both of those face to the inside of the bed. So that's how you can tell if you got the driver or passenger side. What this is going to do is it's going to hang right on top of the bed cap. Now since I've got the drain tube already installed, I'm going to line up the drain cup to the drain tube right now. We can go ahead and attach them. And I can set the rail in place. I'm going to take that rail, pull it all the way to the bulkhead. Now I can go ahead and start installing clamps. And what we're going to do is we're going to spread our clamps apart. We're going to sit it up inside the rail. Now what I want to make sure that clamp, the grooves in the clamp, marry up to the grooves in the rail. Get it up as high as possible where those clamp grooves mate into the rail. And then slide it, try to get it as close to the bulkhead as possible. And then we're going to finger tighten that. And then we're going to take a 9/16 wrench or ratchet, and we're just going to get it kind of snug. Now before we tighten it down, we also want to make sure that the seal on the outside fits properly against the bed cap. So we're just going to kind of give it a nice little pound and get it flat against there. Now we can go ahead and finish tightening down this clamp. For our second clamp, we're going to put that towards the center of the bed. We're going to install this one the exact same way. Just kind of snug it, then seat it into place, and finish tightening it down. And we're going to do the exact same thing with our last clamp. Now we're going to go ahead and take our prop rod, we're going to attach it to the ball stud, snap it in place. We have a little bracket prop rod attaches to. We're going to do all those same steps on the opposite side as well. All right, now let's go ahead and turn our attention to the uprights for the rack system. Now here is one of the uprights. They're all exactly the same. We're working on the passenger side here. So this piece right here is going to be facing into the cab of the truck. And this is the bottom. You're going to see you've got a couple of holes in the bottom of it. Now we're going to go through our hardware. We're going to find a couple sizes of bolts. We're going to have a whole bunch of short bolts and only 4 long bolts. We're going to set the long bolts to the side for right now. We'll come back later. All right, so for these bottom holes, we're going to take our short bolts. Let me set this to the side for now. We're going to take a small flat lock washer and a flat washer, and then run that short bolt from the outside through that hole. And then we're going to take a nylock nut and just barely start threading on there. We don't even want to get it all the way to the nylock. We just want to get it started on that position. Do the same thing to the other hole. Now we can go ahead and attach the upright to the rail. All right, now here's the end of your rail. We're going to make sure the bottom of the upright slides into this groove down the bottom. and then these nuts are going to slide into this channel here. So let's go in just like so. Or slide this all the way up to the front of the bed. We're going to hand tighten these bolts. Okay, now once you've got this in place where you want it, you've got a provided Allen head tool to tighten that down. And we can either use the provided Allen head, or we can use a 4mm. It's the same size, so. You want to get them snug in there, but don't over tighten them. Now before the next rail goes in, we're going to install our 2 sliding tie downs. They go in the same way that rail goes in. You slide the bolt head through. You set them where you want them. Once you got them in place, you just turn them until they tighten up. These, of course, are adjustable, so you can put them wherever you want. All right, now we're going to go to the rear upright, and that installs the exact same way the front upright does. All right, now for the top of the upright, we're going to take our aluminum block that has 2 threaded holes in it. We're going to take another short bolt with a lock washer and a flat washer. Going to go up through these holes and just get it started into the threads of this bolt plate here. All right, doing the same thing to the front one. We'll do the exact same thing to the rail on the opposite side. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our angle brackets. We're not going to install them to the rails at this time. What we're going to do is we're going to just set them up to where they're ready to be installed. We've got the short aluminum block that's going to go on the top side of the bracket, not on the bottom side, but the top. Take our short bolt, lock washer, flat washer, go through there, and there again, just start the threads. We're going to set that down. Do that with all of your brackets. Okay, now I've got a load bar. Now notice this is the top channel and this is the bottom channel of the load bar. The bottom channel, we're going to take 2 of our angle brackets, and we're going to take that aluminum block and slide it into the bottom channel of the load bar. So now we got 2 angle brackets installed, or slidden into place on the load bar. We're going to lift that load bar up. I'm going to go to the front upright and install it onto the uprights. This bracket right here is going to go in the exact same way that the angle brackets went in. So we're going to lift it up and slide that load bar into place and get it to come past the load bar on the passenger side. And we'll slide it back over in place there. All right, now what we're going to want to do is center the load bar onto the uprights and using a tape measure, and then we can tighten down these bolts to hold the load bar to the uprights. Now that we've got the load bar tightened down to the uprights, we're going to go ahead and slide our angle bracket over. Now the angle bracket's got a hole here. We're going to line it up to the hole that's in the upright. And now is when we can go ahead and take our long bolt. We're going to take a long bolt with a flat washer, and from the outside we're going to run it through the hole in the upright and then run it through the hole in the angle bracket. Then we're going to take a flat washer, lock washer, and then the nut, and then thread that in place. We're not going to tighten it down just yet. But with that in place, now we can go ahead and tighten down the angle bracket to the load bar. We're going to use the same 4mm Allen on this side, and then use an 11mm for the nut on this side, and we're going to tighten that down. Then repeat the same thing on the opposite side. All right, next we're going to take our end caps for the load bar. The bolt goes up through the bottom. We're going to slide that in place. It'll line up to the hole in the load bar, and we're going to tighten that down with a provided tool or 4mm Allen key. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Now before we install our rear upright, just to make it easier, we're going to go ahead and install the cover. In order to do that, we first have to install our clip kit. So what we're going to do is fold back the head panel. Now you're going to see you've got a couple of holes here that's going to line up to the bolts that go through the clip kit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these backer pieces that come with the kit. We're going to slide them up through the back side of the hole, and then bring our bolt, the screw down to it with a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to get that started first. Then run your other bolt through, line that one up, and now we can go ahead and tighten both of them down. We're going to do the exact same thing for the driver's side clip. All right, now we're going to go ahead and lift up the cover and set it up onto the rails. This short panel we just installed the clips on, that faces towards the cab. So we're going to set that in place. Now as you get the rubber seal over top of the bulkhead seal, you just want to kind of bear down so that the lid doesn't go over top of the bulkhead. And then you just kind of push the cover until it goes all the way up to the bulkhead. All right, now the elevator bolts will be in a kit. They'll have a star knob on there along with some other washers. All you're going to have at this point is the elevator bolt and one rubber washer. And that's going to go through the hole that's in the cab panel, and that goes down actually through the tab that comes out of the side of the rail. Do that on both sides. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and fold the cover up towards the cab of the truck. That way I can get up underneath there and attach the rest of my hardware to the elevator bolt. So what we're going to have is a rubber washer followed by a flat washer followed by a lock washer. That's going to slide over top of that elevator bolt. And then we're going to take the star knob and just kind of get the star knob started on the threads. We're not going to tighten it down just yet. Then we're going to do that on both sides, and we can adjust the cover. All right, now we're going to go ahead and start folding the panels back. As we do that, we're going to make sure that we're centered on each side with each panel going. Now, if we're not quite centered, we can shift it side to side, but we're still not tightened down at the front. We just want to make sure everything's centered in between the rail all the way to the back. Once the cover is centered, we're going to very carefully, one panel at a time, fold the panels up towards the cab. Just make sure not to shift it side to side because we're already centered, and we don't want to lose that center. Once it's up, you can go ahead and tighten down the star knobs. That locks the cover into place. So now what we're going to do is we're going to apply these rubber bump stops to the cover where the cover contacts the cab. That protects the cab from the cover. All right, now we're going to go ahead and install the rear load bar exactly the same way that we installed the front one. All right, now if you get your optional load stops, this is how you assemble those. You've got your Allen head bolt that's going to go through your threaded portion, that little threaded hole that's in here. We're going to tighten that all the way down. Next, we're going to go ahead and take this part right here. This assembles together like so. And this is going to go up through the bottom hole, the smaller hole, because you got the two holes here, the one large hole here. This is your tie down hole, so you're not going to use anything in there. We're going to take a lock washer and then your star knob, go over top of that. Now you're not going to tighten your star knob all the way down yet, because we want this to drop down so that we can insert it into the track. Let's go ahead and do that now. Now before you have your end caps installed, go ahead and install this into the top channel on the track. The square and the plastic circle are going to install into that. And you can slide it anywhere along the rail that you want it. Once you get it in place, go ahead and tighten down that star knob. It'll work kind of like a bookend. So if you install your next one, bring it in, and then you can just adjust them side to side from that point. Well, we tested the operation of the cover and all of its components, and that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.